think special teams, we improved a lot from week 1 to week 2. The block punt certainly right before half allowed us to get some more points. I thought that was really well done, well designed, well executed, and gave us an opportunity to steal some points there in the middle. I think offensively, we were really efficient. For 56 offensive plays, to have 15 explosives is really well beyond kind of what we have set for our goals. We've continued to limit negative plays. We were very efficient in the throw game. We were 19 for 21 with a throwaway. With a tip ball and a clock play. So the quarterbacks are making good decisions. They're putting the ball in good spots, and certainly we're making plays in the throw game at receiver and tight end that are, that you have to do if you want to be a good offense. So, the only thing I was a little disappointed with was a 3-and-out after half. That's 2 games in a row after half that, we have a chance to go out there and kind of go put the nail in the coffin a little bit, and didn't do a good job there. So a penalty gets us to 3rd and long, and we come up 2 yards short. So room to improve in all 3 phases for sure. This week, certainly we have to keep our eye on the weather, but, our focus this week is on us. Our focus this week is keeping our foot on the gas. The challenge here is if we can improve as much from week 2 to week 3 as we did from 1 to 2 in all 3 phases, we'll be well on our way to being the team we want to be. Certainly, the biggest challenges are ahead of us. We know that. I'm proud of our team. I think we won 2 games the way that we should win them with the opponents that we had. But certainly the best is in front of us. So we know that, and this week will be a big week for us to continue to improve where we need to improve, and hopefully get some guys back healthy. But I thought it was a good team win. Really proud of the guys who had to step up and play well too.
Understanding what you just said as far as who you've played, are there any 1 or 2 areas that y'all have actually done better in the 2 games than what you saw in camp?
Coming out of camp, I felt pretty strongly that we'd be a pretty good team this year. I think we've been better. Our defense does a really good job. They take away a lot of our shots. We didn't complete a whole bunch of down the field shots, like over the top of everything. And I think we've been able to hit those, which is something I was a little concerned with, because it's kind of, well, is it us or is it them type of thing? Are they doing a really good job on defense staying on top, or are we just not winning over the top? And so I think hitting some of those throws have been really good. I think Ben and the receivers have been on the same page, and I think they've done a really good job there. But I expected us to play pretty good, truthfully going into it, and I'm pleased that we have. Certainly never satisfied, especially after 2 games, because I think there's a lot of. I think after 2 weeks, you kind of just scratching the surface of the team you can be. So, I'm pleased, but certainly I expected us to play well.
What about this Tulane early thing we talked about? We knew that was possible. What about?
We practiced in the morning, following our off days this spring. So we've been out there and done it. We'll worry about that, next week and making sure we got a plan for that. But all in all, it's a good thing. When they pick up the game like that, it means that it's our players and our staff have done a good job. They put our team where this game matters, and it's a relevant game. And that's what you want, So, we'll talk more about Tulane as it goes. But certainly, they're a really good football team. They've been the standard probably in Group of 5 football the last couple of years. And it's a chance to go see where you're at, and that's what we want. We think we have a chance to be that team this year. So, we'll get to find out.
Other than that, you mentioned that first drive in the second half. Other than that, is that about as efficient as y'all been offensively in a while?
Yeah, we're pretty efficient in week 1 as well. I think when you throw and catch the ball with a lot of precision, that helps, certainly. I think the difference for us is that a lot of our efficiency in the throw game came from, nakeds and quicks. We're pushing the ball down the field quite a bit, and we're connecting and hitting on those. So those are things that are good. I think that's better than we've done it. We're calling more drop back pass and and stuff like that than we have in the past. So it takes, you got to protect it well to be able to do that. You got to be precise in the routes, and the quarterback's got to make good decisions and good throws. So, I think that's probably where we're a little bit different, is that we're creating more explosives in the throw game through some of that stuff. But I think we've been efficient through 2 games this year. That's going to be challenged here coming up quite a bit. But, right now, that's we're trying to, our goal is 75% completion in the throw game, which is not easy to do. Right now we're meeting that, and that's the standard that we're going to try to keep. We're limiting negative plays, which I think is probably the biggest part of it. There's not many drops, not many tackles for loss. And I think as long as you stay ahead of the sticks, offensively, really not a lot of penalties either. As long as you stay ahead of the sticks, you got a chance to be pretty good on offense. So, that's kind of, we expected to have a pretty good offense this year, and I think we're on our way to that. But again, we'll find out as time goes when we start playing some of these other teams that are on the schedule.
Ben's decisiveness, just a lot of quick, making the throw or taking off. I imagine that's a combination of kind of play calling and just him being quick with it. What did you notice about that?
Yeah, Ben's always made really good decisions, and I think the thing that I'm the most proud of is, I think in the past, so like the deep ball to Jake Bernard was one where, we had someone open in the flat as well. I think in the past, Ben would have kind of settled and taken a flat throw instead of, kind of seeing the coverage look that we had and knowing that we had a chance to go over the top. So, that's kind of what I'm most excited about, is I know he's going to make good decisions. He doesn't put the ball in jeopardy, but he's taking shots when they're there, and he's playing to make plays right now, and we're cashing in on him a little bit. So, he's always made good decisions. That's never been kind of his problem. I can tell you, when you have a quarterback that makes good decisions, you feel a whole lot better about calling kind of everything on the menu, and he does that. So he makes it, you don't mind throwing the ball in 1st and 10 because, you're going to get a completion, or you're going to have a good decision, and you'll be, second and whatever, if not a first down or a touchdown. So it's his decision-making certainly makes it a lot easier to call plays.
Coach, when it comes to a week like what you guys have where you're not playing a game, how much of like the preparation that you do during the week is more about like self-scouting and trying to figure out, what things you're doing really well, breaking tendencies and things like that you're doing correctly?
Well, I think tendencies are always kind of a tricky thing. You have tendencies because those are the things that you do well, and I think sometimes as coaches, you can kind of you can get too far away. You can major in the minors, if that makes any sense. When you start trying to, we do this and we do this. Well, let's do this instead. Well, probably do those things a lot because you're good at them. And so you try to find different ways to hide some of that stuff. But, this week is really all about us. Tulane's a big game, and it's one that we want to win them all. We want to win that one, but we have 10 regular season games left on the schedule. So, if we get consumed or infatuated with trying to beat one team, that doesn't prepare you for the other 11. Whether you go out there and you go win it or you don't, it doesn't have the effect you need to have long term. So for us, we got to play a lot of guys in 2 weeks, which is great. We've got to continue to build competitive depth. I think whenever you get to week 2 and you got 3 starters out on one side of the ball, certainly you have to prepare yourself for some attrition later on during the year too. And, fortunately our guys that stepped up played well. But we got to continue to build that competitive depth, and we got to get better at our systems. We have to continue to improve ourselves because, it's not about one game for us. It's about, the entirety of the rest of the schedule. And so for us right now this week, it's about us against us, and we're trying to go 1-0 this week. Whether you had a game or not, you're trying to get better this week to put yourself in position to play better when you do have an opponent.
Do you know about Draylon yet? And comment on Tylen's progress. It seemed like he jumped up the depth chart pretty good in the short time he's been.
Yeah, I don't know much about Draylon yet. We didn't practice yesterday. We're not practicing today. Tomorrow we will. So we'll see where he's at. Tylen Citizen played really well. He's a guy that, he was a really good player at Church Point High School. We were fortunate to get him over here. he's a kid who absolutely loves football. I mean, that's, he comes in here every day with a smile on his face. He works really hard. He's smart. He's intent. With what he's doing, he's focused. And I mean, he played really well in the game. I mean, he's a good football player. So for us, it was good for him to get his first carries and to play really well. I mean, he made some really nice runs in the game. I mean, some physical runs, made you miss a little bit, showed some speed and some burst, and certainly protected the football. So, yeah, I mean, Tylen's a guy we're excited about. Trying to find some more roles for him on special teams. He's a good special teams player too. But he's a good player, man. He's a local kid that he cares about being here. He works really hard, and I think he's got a bright future here.
How have you seen the running back room grow and improve over these 2 weeks?
Well, we felt like all three of those guys are really co-starters, with Dre and Bill and Zylan. I was excited to see, Zylan and Bill take advantage of their opportunity. I thought they both played well. Zylan, I thought, played really well. Had some really nice runs, kind of saw it really well and played great for us, but Bill had some really good moments too, man, some really nice runs. So to see those guys take advantage of the opportunity, you never want anyone to go down. But in our mind, all three of those guys are very capable. So we expected them to play well. I think, they've matured a lot, kind of talked about, Bill and Zylan and how much they've grown up in the last couple of years. And, for them to be able to seize the moment and go out there and really, not just kind of fill the gap, but truthfully kind of play at a really high level and make some runs that, Zylan's touchdown run from the 19 was a huge run for us. The first play of the game kind of set the tone when we bounced it, and Bill had some great tough runs in there too. So, we expect that group to play really well. I think it was really good to see Tylen play well with that third group, and continue to add some depth there, and hopefully we get Draylon back. But, certainly when you have production like that, it doesn't make you feel like you got to force somebody back in really before they're ready.
You talked about a lot of guys getting to play. Your new punter hasn't played much. I know you don't want to punt more, but is it weird to get to game 3 and have only not really seen that unit work other than what one?
It's a good thing, for sure. I'd rather that than him have 10 punts on the year, but hopefully we can continue that trend. I was hoping he wasn't gonna get to punt it all the other night, but I've seen a lot of the work. This fall camp, we got a lot of reps in. We've tested our punt team. We've tested the protection. We've tested the coverage, and certainly we've tested Nathan. Again, I wasn't so worried about him performing well because he's kicked in games. He's a junior transfer, so he's kicked in big games and he's had pressure situations. And he got in there and operated like he should the other day. Put the ball out there in the right spot. We covered it. So that's kind of. I don't really have any hesitation about it. I think we're in good shape. Certainly more and more people, they're going to test your protection, but we've done that throughout camp, so it shouldn't be much of an issue really.
We talked about the offensive line the other night after watching film. Who particularly played maybe better than you thought, or who played well?
Well, I think Landon played really, really well. As the guy who was supposed to play that played, him and George, I thought really played well. AJ played well too, probably not as good as he did the first week, but I thought the three guys, the starters that were back, I thought they elevated their game, and that's huge. That's a big part of it, Quentin Williams, I was really proud of him. I thought he played really well. All 6 of the guys that played a lot played well. Truthfully, Quentin played really well. Caden Morrow, had been trending up for a long time. And then King McGowan, to get King out there and for him to get those snaps, I think he played 28 plays, played really well. He's one of the most talented guys that we've got, period. So for him, getting him back into shape and all that stuff and trying to manage the workload for him is going to be important. He's an older guy who's had he hadn't played a ton here. He's just had an extensive injury history, and we're certainly better with him than without him. So I was pleased. I thought all 6 of those guys who played a lot in that game played really well. And we ran the ball really effectively. We protected it well too. So it was a good day for that group up front. And like I said, the challenge is like that needs to be the standard. I thought we played with great pad level. We communicated really well. We had effort and strain. There's plays where we got guys running down the field, selling out to finish blocks and things like that. And that's what it takes if you want to be a really good running team.
It's a little off subject, but how have the guys, and I guess your staff too, How have they adapted after a couple of games to all the new technologies that are available?
It really hasn't been, I mean, it's nice. I think that the tablets on the sideline really help to, there's no gray area on what happened, I mean, so we've always had a process where, you got different people watching different things, and we still do that. But there's no, a lot of times there was like, well, I thought it was this coverage, or I thought this pressure came. Well, now there's no gray area. It's like, well, no, it was this. And this game, it was nice because, I mean, they pressured almost every snap. I mean, it was 4 from a side almost every time. And I think that was what I was really excited about. My big concern for us up front was handling all the movement. It's a hard thing to do, and we knew they were going to do it. Probably not as much. They did it more than I thought they would do it. They from the very first snap, I mean, they were bringing 4 from a side every single time. So thought we handled it well. I think the technology helps clean that up. It's like, no, it was actually this. It's like, well, I thought, no, this is what happened. So it helps. Sometimes you get back on Sunday and you're like, dang it, like that. It wasn't. It wasn't what we thought it was. So it kind of helps clear that up a little bit. It helps you know exactly what's going on, and the information you're getting from the players. You don't necessarily have to rely on it quite as much because there's visual evidence of it.
How are Ben and KC adapting to having people in their ear?
It seems pretty good. Ben does a good job whenever I click the button to make sure it's on. So that usually helps. Sometimes you see him look back at me and do like that. It's because I turned it off and didn't click him back on. So Chandler and Daniel stand by me, and they have theirs on there. We can't hear you. So usually they try to help me. So whenever I press the button, it's usually pretty good.
So when you talk about monitoring this potential storm, is that going to depend on how many days you practice or when you practice, or how will you kind of handle all that?
Yeah, it'll probably depend on how many days we get to practice. I think it's important we need to get on the road and recruit Friday. I mean, it's important that our kids, I do believe in, I know things have to adjust when you set a schedule, but they do need some time away. This weekend, get to go see their families and stuff like that for a couple of days. So the plan right now is for Friday, whenever they're done with school, to be able to get out of here, have Saturday off, and Sunday they'll come back in the afternoon. We'll get rolling on Sunday. So, the practice days in between now and then are going to be kind of dictated by the storm and when we can go and when we can't. So, hopefully it's not a bad one, and hopefully it just kind of passes through without a whole lot of issue.